All right, so we all think we know what a GM does in college football. You tell us what your job is.
It changes daily, as you can probably tell from all these executive orders and changes in the rules. But no, it's all encompassing with roster management. That's everything from high school recruiting to transfer portal to everything with the rev share now and everything that goes into that. And so just trying to manage and oversee our entire recruiting department, which we have a great staff of 9 other guys and girls that help me with it, but just overseeing everything with roster retention, roster management, high school recruiting, all that. So it's a little bit of everything. You kind of change by the day with all the new rules they put in place, and it's day by day. It truly is, but it's a new job per se in college sports, but it kind of, people have been doing similar stuff to this for years. It's just now you add the rev share and the payments and all that in there, but really roster management, high school recruiting, all that. So.
Along with the rev share piece of it too, how does it work from a budgetary standpoint? Like, I mean, who makes the decisions? Okay, we're going to allocate X number of dollars for this position group, and how much flexibility do you have in all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's with the rev share, that's a piece that we really have internally flexibility with to adapt to it how we need to. And decide who needs what. And if we have a bunch of seniors in one position group, they're probably going to be a little higher up because they've paid their dues and worked their way up. So that's kind of how we've approached it. But it's obviously every school has that $20.5 million that was part of the settlement case, and then you divvy it up by sports, and so you have your number. And then I kind of went through NFL just because it's so new to college. NFL breakdowns, how they've kind of broken down their position groups in years past, just to get a kind of a baseline for it. But that's probably the most challenging part in all this stuff right now, is it's so new for everybody. You're kind of, each year you're feeling it out, and it's the first time you have 105 on your roster, so you're always constantly adjusting and adapting to it. But it's that's probably the fun part too. It's just like NFL. If you have really good quarterback, you need to pay to keep them. You then kind of got to adjust other places to make it work. But once you have your money, you can divvy it up how you need to.
How has that first month of the revenue sharing gone, you think?
It's been good. I think we were set up well before we kind of just transitioned from the collective to the university. So it didn't change a ton for us. It just, now the checks are coming from the university instead of our collective and all that. But it's been business as usual. It wasn't, some schools had to have new contracts and all that stuff. We didn't get into any of that. So just kind of transitioned over, but it's been a smooth transition. So again, just adapting to all the new rule changes, and not a ton of difference for the players here. We try to make it as seamless as possible, so they didn't have to sign a bunch of new stuff and think about a bunch of new things. But it's been good so far.
You worked with a lot of different people, a lot of great programs, a lot of legendary coaches, things like that. What's it been like working with Coach Levy?
Well, look, I was with Coach Levy in 2018 at UCF for a year, so I knew that we had said back then if he ever got a job like this, I'd follow him. I love working with him. His vision, how he approaches everything, his passion for it, how the players respond to him. You would never know that first year head coach, so just we got to keep building on it. But he's an incredible guy to work for. I've said it a bunch of times talking to media and who else. I'm with him until he kicks me out, until he doesn't let me stay here anymore. So I have been fortunate to work with some good ones. I mean, Coach Levy's right up there with the best of the best. There are big things in his future, but he's awesome to work for, and I think the players and staff would all reciprocate that.
Is it fair to say part of your job is just taking a lot of heat off the actual head coach and position coaches, and you're the target now when somebody has something they're unhappy about?
Yes, and that's a lot of it is, hey, go talk to Marc about it. I think probably the biggest piece is the agent stuff, dealing with, everyone has an agent now and talking, so the coach doesn't need to be dealing with that, the position coaches, so come talk to me and I'll handle a lot of that stuff with our kind of off-field staff. But yes, it's a lot of just don't let the small issues get to him. Take it from me and let him focus on coaching ball and then focus on that stuff. But obviously we work hand in hand, and there's nothing that happens with me that he doesn't know about, and we have a great working relationship with that. But yeah, that's a big part of it. Keep some stuff from him so he can focus on the bigger picture.
On top of this GM role and all these things that have been coming in college football, the staffs have expanded, and you're seeing more people work underneath you. What's your staff like? What's the crew that's kind of working behind you looking like?
Yeah, so they're a lot of them were here when I got here, and I think we've adjusted. Courtney Williams we promoted to kind of an assistant GM title, however you want to say it. But that was a big piece, just going through that first year of really preparing for this rev share world. Just another person that kind of is tuned in with the salary cap and kind of what we're paying and how it's all working. So kind of giving him more responsibilities with that, and he earned every bit of that. And then we have Lee Wilbanks, Andrew Lutz, Ryan Roberts, Rod Gibson, who handle a lot of the high school recruiting, making sure we're getting everybody evaluated, constant evaluations, constantly digging for new names. And then on the on-campus side, really Andrea Hollis, Haley Golden, Kaylin Robinson, who handle a lot of the visits, setting up the visits, organizing everything on campus for when these guys get here. But it's really shifting to where it used to just be, you're just worried about watching film and handling. Now you need people that are focused on all right, you're almost grading your current team, and then, guys that go into the portal, you have to put grades on them to see, hey, can we pay for that guy? Do we need to retain this guy? Do we need to, look somewhere else for this guy? So it's a constant changing, and you can't do what we do without a phenomenal staff, and we have good people in place here, and it's just continuously evolving with these rule changes I keep mentioning, but we got good people in place.
You said that you're doing kind of an NFL model in terms of distributing the payments and stuff. Why was that the approach you guys are going with?
And I wouldn't necessarily say it's NFL model. What I did was just kind of look at the percentages of how they broke down each position. That's what I was meaning by that, just to get a baseline of where they've been at. Now, obviously, roster numbers are a lot different in college. You have 105, where you have 52 in NFL. So it's not all gonna correlate completely. But my thought was, okay, see where the best team. I did playoff teams too, so like see where they kind of broke down the positionally, how much they were doing. If running backs was 5 to 7% of their total budget, or quarterbacks were 10 to 15%, O-line was 18 to 22%, just to kind of get a baseline to, you're not always going to be in those. Like I said, if you have a bunch of seniors, maybe you're top heavy in a position that year, whatever it may be. But just to give you a baseline, we want to stay between these percentages for each position to kind of just give you a range to work with.
Do you think we're coming to a point in college football where we can say, these are the rules, we're set in perpetuity for now anyway, I guess, and instead of having to, it seems like it changes week to week, do you think we're getting to a point where there can be some permanence?
Man, I hope so. I hope so. I think we're close. I think every offseason you kind of get a little bit closer to it. I think some of these rule changes are getting, everything's a lawsuit now though, and you get so much, you're never going to make everybody happy. But I'm hoping within the next 3 to 5 years we do have, but it's funny, you get on Twitter and you just find, or X now, what do you want to call it, and just find out the new news and what the new executive order is, who's the new oversight committee, whatever it is. But we're getting closer. It'll get there soon. But for now, you just keep rolling with the punches, but I hope we're close.
You all have had some time to prepare for this era. How much did those preparations actually, go through in implementation? Was it smooth? Was it difficult? How's it been?
We spent, especially when I got here in January of 24, we were preparing for this kind of the whole time. And it's the tough part with all these rule changes is, hate to keep harping on that, but you plan for something and you think it's going to be this, and then there's a new rule that goes into place, and it tweaks everything you planned for. So you go back to the drawing board and kind of just adapt what you had. But no, I think the planning of it and just the foresight of our administration and just kind of putting everything in place to allow us to do this was huge. And it's, again, you get the plan in place and you just adapt with the punches when things kind of adjust, and you at least have the general oversight of what you want to do. And then based on the little changes here and there, you can make your necessary changes and keep moving forward.